Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tuesday edition of Hot News. We got information to talk to you about things that are going good in your life. Hopefully they are. I mean, we got to talk about the existential question of the day, which is, where to next? See my shirt? This is a shirt that I picked up at Olin Rogers' shop in Tennessee, the soda parlor, which was recently demolished by a tornado that hit in Tennessee. Anyways, they're not having a great time. My whole point though is that this shirt has gotten me through some rough times. Like obviously with my son's issues of like, he's dying of epilepsy, this is crazy, we're gonna have to move across the world because we can't get you guys helped us through that, but it's always where to next, okay? Not every dark moment continues and not every bright moment lasts, so where are you going next? What's your next strategy? What are you planning on? Are you doing anything during this time that you're locked down? Are you learning a new skill? Are you learning to reevaluate how much you need to slow down in your life and how much you've been missing rest? Where are you going next? Okay? And if that's laying on the couch, eating some potato wedges because you're too stressed out about this whole situation, that's a good place to go. I wish I was there right now. Where to next, Reece? He's got nothing. He blew his whole ammo on moving to the States. Now he doesn't have a future. Get your future back, Reece. Let's go ahead and jump on into the news. I didn't know which one to start with because I'm disappointed in several different things. We're gonna cover the one that bothers me the most first, but it may not be the headline. I haven't really decided. But that is Amazon has a game streaming service coming up, and I hate it. Okay, it's called Project Tempo, and apparently they've been working on developing games since 2016. They have that Lord of the Rings MMO that's supposed to be coming out because they have their own engine that they're building everything on, which is called Lumberyard. So Amazon's really getting into this whole game thing. Obviously they picked up Twitch, so they might have some integration there, and so they're just gonna have a game streaming platform. The only issue that I have with this whole like news that they're getting a game streaming platform, is called Project Tempo, is the fact that every article that's talking about it is gonna be like, it's gonna be like Project Stadia or GeForce Now, which are not the same platforms. They don't work the same way. I think that Project Tempo is more than likely gonna be a Google Stadia, which is games on their platform that you have to buy on their platform and not be able to play anywhere else. GeForce Now is the only model that makes sense, where you can buy a game on Steam and you can use it on GeForce Now, but hey, if you build your own computer, you can just play it on your own gosh dang computer. Oh, that would be amazing. If Amazon comes out with a subscription service where it's more like you rent the games, kind of like Netflix, and you pay, $7 to $10 a month, you rent the games, you can play it on their cloud hardware, I would highly appreciate that. But just, we don't need another one. They're not working. They don't make sense. Google Stadia did not implement anything revolutionary. They're just like, hardy-dar, you can play games on our cloud hardware. Great. Freaking great, but I have to buy it on your cloud hardware, and I don't want to do that. NVIDIA is the only one that actually made a solution that makes sense. Nobody else has anything that works. Project Tempo, you better be something revolutionary or I'm gonna lose my own tempo. And I don't know why I put this before the PS5 article, but Xbox Architect has lost his tempo against Atari and suing them over unpaid work for the Atari VCS crowd-funded console that was supposed to launch ages ago.
That thing.
Yeah, still around, still supposedly going to be launched. It was supposed to launch in March of 2020, but due to Voldemort, it actually wasn't able to come out. So the previous Xbox engineer who worked on the original Xbox, Rob Wyatt, is now suing them for $262,000 of unpaid invoiced work that they haven't paid out to him because he helped them with the console. So Atari, you're not looking too happy, not too good. I can understand why he's losing his tempo. And a lot of people lost their tempo over this article, which I don't know if this should be the headline. Reece will reevaluate after I film, but there was an interview done with the Crytek rendering engineer. Crytek, in case you're not familiar, is the company behind Crysis, which still holds up as the meme of the best looking game of all time. Anyways, in the interview, he said that the PS5 is de facto better than the Xbox Series X. He had the interview, but then now the interview has been pulled because apparently the guy who gave the interview says that he doesn't confirm the content on the interview anymore due to personal reasons. So he said these things, but then said, I retract all of my statements, either because Crytek was like, what the hell are you doing? Or because he actually was not saying the right thing. I don't know. Anyways, in the interview, the engineer said that that's why you can't care much about the numbers, referring to the teraflops. But if all parts can work efficiently in the Xbox Series X alongside its GPU, it can hit that number in practice, which doesn't seem so possible. Besides all of these, there's a software part too. And with regards to developing for the Series X, he said the thing we saw on PCs was DX12 and Vulkan. Without the change in hardware, with the change in the architecture of the software, you can use the hardware better. This is applicable to the consoles too. Sony runs PS5 on its own OS, but Microsoft uses a custom version version of Windows, which makes it a worse experience for the game developers, apparently. And then also saying, with regards to the difference in the disparity between the teraflops of the PS5, which is only 10.3, and then the Series X, which is 12, saying, therefore, despite the huge difference in compute unit count, they don't have that much of a teraflops difference. An interesting thing is that one of IGN journalists said, he said the Xbox Series X is like a V8 motor and the PS5 is like a V6.1 turbo boosted to the max for best efficiency, and that despite having a higher frequency of the GPU and the CPU on the Series X, it's only going to reach its potential under the most ideal circumstances, whereas the PS5 will mostly always be at its 10.3 peak, supposedly, unless we believe the previous rumors where it has cooling issues. Anyways, the interviewee said this will make the console mostly work on 10.28 teraflops, but in Xbox Series X, since the other parts of the GPU work slower due to the lower clock speed, it actually works at a lot lower teraflops most often and reaches 12 only at ideal situations. So now, fan the flames of the war. Which one's better? The Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5? Who knows? PlayStation 5 has overheating issues. Mark Cerny says that it's great and runs at 10.28 all the time. Crytek engineer comes out and says, yes, it actually does that. It's actually the Xbox Series X that can't run at 12 teraflops all the time. Who's right? Who's wrong?
Begun. The Clone War has.
I'm actually more inclined to believe the engineer from Crytek over like random rumors that we're finding out on the internet. But what I can tell you is that according to the guy in my Instagram DMs, the one thing we can be sure about is PS5 logo will be RGB and it's 100% TER. I think he meant true, but you heard it in my Instagram DMs first. PS5 logo, RGB, which makes it better. Xbox Series X ain't got no RGB on its console. Disgusting. But ASUS has liquid metal in its laptops. Yes, officially now putting Thermal Grizzly's Cryonaut on its laptops on the 10th gen Intel Core processors, which just tells me ASUS is probably gonna have some of the best Intel laptops out there because they're the only ones who are gonna give it a thermal advantage, because that's the only reason they can be faster is because they take up more thermal headroom. Woo. ASUS needs to do this, so it's actually really cool. However, the issue with liquid metal on a laptop is that liquid metal needs to be repasted more often than traditional thermal paste, and you don't want people doing that themselves because you squirt a little bit of liquid metal onto an exposed PCB, bam, there goes your laptop. Deadzo. So ASUS doing something really cool, highly necessary because Intel CPUs are really terrible, and the liquid metal's only going on the Intel CPUs. It's not going on the NVIDIA GPUs. It's just going on the Intel CPUs. It's not going on the AMD CPUs. Does this tell you anything?
I see.
And does this leak tell you anything? There's iPhone 12 spec leaks coming out for Wazoo. John Prosser tweeting the new leaks of the iPhone 12, saying that there's going to be 4 different versions. The regular iPhone 12 is going to have a mini and a big variety. The iPhone 12 will have a Pro and a Max variety. They're all going to be based on 5G, different camera setup, and then also in iOS 14, it was a leaked image that was shown off of the iPhone 12 Pro's camera setup with 3 cameras, currently like the current Pro lineup, but with a LiDAR sensor on top of that. So we're getting all of that integrated, and obviously Apple has already integrated LiDAR sensors into their iPads, so they're doing it. It's a thing. And you know what thing Google should have done ages ago on their Pixel 4 lineup? Ages ago, because they don't have a fingerprint reader on it anymore. Ages ago, should have put face unlock recognition that only works when your eyes are focused on the camera and actually looking at the phone and your eyes are open for security reasons. Ages ago, this should have been there at launch. Well, now your eyes have to be open for using the face unlock. You can enable that as a feature. That should have been there from the beginning. Do you know how dangerous it is for somebody to just put the phone to your face while you're sleeping and then be able to use your phone? It's ridiculous. Obviously, you should have a passcode on top of that if security is your utmost importance, but just like the abuse that could have run rampant where you have to physically look at the gosh dang device. Google, come on, please. Ages ago. Should have updated Google Fit. Thank you that you've done it now. There's a redesign for Google Fit. It means nothing for me. I never use Google Fit. And I never not want to be without high refresh rate monitors. And by high refresh rate, I mean lower refresh rate. I'm talking about 75 hertz monitors from ASUS. I don't know why I didn't put this next to the ASUS article from earlier, but they're coming out with new 24 and 27 inch 75 hertz monitors. 1 millisecond response time on IPS. That's kind of the cool thing about it. It's not bad. And you know what else is not bad? finally, at this moment, there is a new high-performance computing consortium challenged with defeating Voldemort. Obviously, folding at home is one of the ways that people have been doing it. Thank you to everybody who's joined our folding at home team. But folding at home hitting 1.5 plus exaflops of performance. This high-performance computing consortium, which includes now, the reason this is news, has the likes of AMD and NVIDIA, is only at 402 petaflops. Less than a third of what every gamer in the world contributing their PC is. Pathetic. Come on, AMD, NVIDIA, huh? Where's your resources now?
Show us what you really
defeat Voldemort. Give us everything. And Intel's given us everything in the kitchen sink with new benchmarks coming out of the Core i7-1185 5G7 11th gen processor with Tiger Lake. It's got Project Z graphics in it. You can look at the benchmarks. It's okay. 4 cores, 8 threads. It performs fast. It's got a good integrated GPU. And it's okay that other countries in the world have foundries that can hit 7 nanometers, which is what's going on in China, saying that SMIC is going to be having an ambitious Q4 target date for their 7 nanometer production. Small scale only, so not mass production of 7 nanometers, but China should be having its own fabrication facility hitting 7 nanometers later this year. But Samsung is going to have to delay its 3 nanometer transition because of Voldemort, with that being delayed until 2022. The logistics supply chain behind getting everything set up for launching a new node is just completely delayed with everything going on with Voldemort, interrupting supply chains and professionals that you need to go here or there. That's been delayed, so that's going to be later, 3 nanometer transition. It's going to be later that I'm going to be able to afford a laptop like this from Origin PC. Their Eon 15X. It has a desktop Ryzen 9 3900 processor in it, and it can go up really high in the graphics RTX 2060. It's going to be expensive. It has a 144 hertz 15-inch TN panel, which is really lame. I don't like it, but it's a configurable laptop. You can go all the way down to a Ryzen 5 and then all the way up to a Ryzen 9. You know what else is configurable? Nintendo Switches. Nintendo in Japan is launching a website that allows you to build your own custom Joy-Con color schemes on the Nintendo Switch if you want it. If you want the new version, you pay full price. If you want the older version with the worst battery, you get a voucher for $30 to buy stuff on the Nintendo store, I presume. So you can configure it with the 10 different color options, left and right Joy-Cons. You can get also add-ons on there. It's really cool. It's only launched in Japan. I would totally take advantage of that if that was in the US. And I'd totally take advantage of cheap smartphones because TCL is going to be launching their flagship TCL 10 5G series. Is going to have a Snapdragon 765 processor, 5G, as I mentioned, 6.5 inch full HD screen, 64 megapixel main sensor, 118 degree wide angle lens. It's got a macro camera. It's got a front facing camera. It's got everything you need in a modern flagship, but it's coming in at a price of only €400. Decent price. You know what else is decent? Your poo. Good job. Okay, everything comes down to poo. From the top of your head to the sole of your shoe. Our number 1 is your number 2.
We can figure out what's wrong with you.
Anyways, the reason I'm bringing up your poo is that there is a new smart toilet from Stanford University that analyzes your butt and poo for diseases and your urine. So let's not leave your number 1 out of this as well. The smart toilet is the perfect way to harness a source of data that's typically ignored, and the user doesn't have to do anything differently, said the lead study researcher of this entire project. So the toilet has a high-tech motion sensing tools. It records videos of the user's urine and feces, which is processed by algorithms that can determine urine stream time and volume, as well as stool samples' viscosity. It also has urinalysis strips to measure the urine's white blood cell count to determine whether they have bladder infections, cancers, diabetes, or kidney failure. And then the collected toilet data is stored in a cloud-based system for doctors to access later. My most favorite part of this article is where it says, one of the more unusual features of this smart toilet is a built-in identification system that reads the user's fingerprints on the toilet flush handle, so they make sure that they're matching your poo with who you are in case you're in a multifamily household. And even weirder, an anus recognition system. I don't know how unique my anal print is, and I hope I never need to know that information in the future. But you need to know where to next. What's going on in your life? Where are you going next? What are your plans? What's your vision for what's going on? Is it in the next day? Is it in the next year? You got a 10-year plan? Where to next? Let me know. That's the existential question of the day. And that's it. We're done with hot news. We did it. You stayed through the poo section. And I'm gonna poo diddly scoop on out of here. Bye.
The more info I heard on that poo thing, the worse it got.